Welcome to the Empowerment Hour, a podcast dedicated to the woman ready to take charge of her life, live in her purpose, and be unapologetically authentic. I am your host, Nancy Ruffin, award-winning author, mommypreneur, and the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah who is dedicated to helping women unleash their power, discover their purpose, and live up to their fullest potential. My goal is to empower you, inspire you, and help you unlock your passions and discover your purpose so that you live the most fulfilled and impassioned life. If you're ready to make a change and start living on purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Empowerment Hour podcast. It's your girl, Nancy Ruffin. And it's been, maybe a couple of weeks since the last podcast. But just because I haven't been recording doesn't mean that I haven't been working. The past couple of weeks have been super, super busy for me. I've been doing so much. As many of you know, if you've been following my work, I'm in the process of planning the third annual Fierce Woman award ceremony and brunch that's happening July 15th. So I've been really busy with getting the honorees together, promoting the event, selling tickets, working with the event director and the event designer to make sure that we bring you guys a super, super fabulous event. So that's been taking up a huge chunk of my time. Also, we just celebrated Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all of the ladies out there who are mothers, figuratively and literally, because we do know that sometimes, even though we do not biologically have children, there are children who we mother, who we nurture, who we care for and love. And so you ladies definitely should be acknowledged. Additionally, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge all of the women who may have lost a child. I know that this time must be an extremely difficult time because no parent should ever have to bury their child. In fact, one of our own in the literary community just lost her daughter tragically, and I'm not privy to all of the details, but I do want to send my condolences out to Lisa Centeno, La Boricua Goddess. She's part of the Capicu culture family. She is a beautiful, beautiful person, and I just want her to know that her and her family are in my thoughts and prayers. And I hope that her daughter has transitioned into heaven, is in a better place, and is at peace. So I ask all of you to just send a prayer out for the family because this is a really difficult time for them. Additionally, though, my Mother's Day was absolutely fabulous. I spent it, of course, with my own beautiful children and my husband. We visited my mother-in-law. We spent most of the day driving, actually, in the car visiting family. And from my mother-in-law's house, we then trooped it out into Brooklyn to see my grandmother, who was 90 years old. And my mom was there, my sister was there, aunts, uncles. So it was really nice to just get together and honor the matriarch of our family. So I hope you all had a really great Mother's Day. And lastly, I've also been, I recently just participated in the Mommy and Me fashion show for Bronx Fashion Week. It happened this Saturday at Bay Plaza Mall. And this is an event that gets put on annually by the wonderful Flora Montes. She's been doing this, I want to say, for 3 or 4 years now, and each year it becomes this bigger, grander production. And so it was really cool for me and my oldest daughter to participate. She had a really, really good time. The other moms and kids were phenomenal. It was really a fun way to spend my Saturday afternoon. But more importantly, if you've been following me, then you know that this week I will be celebrating my 40th birthday. And yeah, it's a big one for me. I think that for many of us, 40 is kind of like a milestone birthday. It's like when you first turn 21 and you're able to, legally drink, you have this big celebration. And so for me, turning 40 is this big celebration because I've come so far. When I think back to my 20s and what I was doing back then to what I'm doing now, I've completely come full circle. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud to see the growth in my life, to see how far I've come, not just as it relates to, I guess, the level I am in my life as far as career and life goals, but more so how much I've grown mentally, spiritually, how grounded I am, how much more focused I am now than I was in my 20s. I have no desire to do the things that I did in my 20s, so I absolutely had an amazing life. My 20s were so much fun. I spent most of that decade just partying and traveling and really just enjoying myself, and so I don't regret it because I think that it was very important for me to do that. I think it's important for most young people to really take their 20s as an opportunity to kind of learn about yourself, have fun, because at that point you don't really have too many responsibilities, right? So you can be a little bit careless, you can be selfish, all of those things. So I encourage that in your 20s because I think that it's important to get all of that out of your system, because then once you get into your 30s, you really have to start thinking about the direction of your life now. Right now, you have to start thinking about what your future is going to be like. You really have to start getting serious about a career, and all of these things get set in your 30s. So for me, that's exactly what I did in my 30s. That's when I realized that I wanted to be a mom. That's when I really started to ask myself the question, why am I here? What's my life purpose? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? So all of these things were happening throughout the 30s, right? And I think that the older I got, the closer I got to 40, the much more clearer I got on my life, on my purpose, on the things that I wanted to do. And so right now, I'm absolutely at a wonderful place. I'm settled. I'm a homeowner. I have this beautiful, amazing family. I'm pursuing my passion and my dreams. I have an amazing husband who supports my crazy ideas half the time. And I have a great family who also supports me. I have a good support system, and part of that too, in my 30s was being able to weed out the people who were not aligned with where I was going, right? So sometimes in order for us to continue on our path, we have to let some people go, and sometimes we don't necessarily let them go. Sometimes the universe steps in and removes them from our lives, and then when that happens, we don't understand why. But then, in hindsight, they say hindsight is 2020. When you think about the direction your life has taken, it's really easy to see why certain people were taken, or removed from your life, and not in the literal sense as them passing, but that you're no longer walking the same road together. And I've had a number of friends, who were part of my life. I would say there was this one friend, as a matter of fact, who I was really, really close to. I think her and I met, I don't know, I want to say I was 17, maybe she was 18. I remember she was pregnant with my close friend's baby at the time. In any case, we became really, really close. But as we got older, we started drifting apart, and then something happened where the universe, I guess it was the universe stepping in and was like, yeah, you guys probably don't need to be friends any longer, and so I don't mourn that relationship, and I don't even think I mourned it when it ended, because I understood that it had fulfilled its course, per se. But these are all things that happened in order for me to get to where I'm at now, and so I'm turning 40, and I've really been thinking about what that means for me. I've been reflecting a lot about on that, and so I really want to share with you guys just some things that I've learned in my 40 years of life of living on this planet, and from my experiences. First, life is too short to hold grudges, right? And I say that because a lot of times we spend, I don't know, maybe upset at other people or angry or just filled with rage, right? And then it does nothing for us, really, right? Because when you hold on to that and when you harbor those feelings, it doesn't make you feel good inside. And so all the time you spent holding that grudge is time that you could have been better utilized doing something productive, doing something that makes you happy, doing something that you enjoy. So I don't hold grudges, even if people do me wrong, even if people hurt me, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. I've kind of learned to brush it off my shoulders, like I let it just roll off my back, because what's done is done, right? We can't change the actions of another person, but we can change how we react to certain situations. So where certain things may have, influenced me negatively in the past, I no longer invest any of my time or energy into those things if they don't make me feel good. And if they don't make me feel good, then all I do is eliminate the factor from my life. So whether that is a person or a situation or an experience or anything, either I remove myself out of that or I remove the person who is inflicting that negative energy my way. And so I don't hold grudges. What for? I keep it moving and I live my life. Secondly, it's too short. Life is too short to spend waiting. And I say that because many of us think, we say to ourselves, oh, we'll do this tomorrow, or we'll do this next week, or I'll do this when I have more money, or I'll do this when A, B, and C falls into place. And the reality is that there's no better time to do something than at the present moment. When you think about that thing is exactly the time when you should be doing it. And the reason I say that is because tomorrow is never promised. All we have is right now. Tomorrow does not exist, right? I can kind of turn off this microphone, it shut down my computer, and you'll never hear from me again, right? Because who knows, things happen. We don't know what tomorrow brings, and tomorrow may never come. So the best opportunity to do something is at the precise moment that you think of to do that thing. Don't waste any more time. Don't waste any more time wishing, hoping, plotting, thinking. Sometimes you can overthink, and sometimes you can talk yourself out of the thing that you want to do because you've waited so long to do it. So for me, I don't spend time waiting. If there's something that I want to do, I do it. As far as waiting on other people, I very rarely do that. I'm super, super impatient. And I will give maybe a 5 minute courtesy to someone. After that, I'm not waiting for you, right? Because time is valuable. And the more time you spend waiting, the more money you're losing. And not necessarily money, but time in itself is such a valuable resource because it's the only thing you never get back. You can't make more time. Once it's gone, it's gone. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for the people. Stop waiting for things to be perfect to do the thing that you want to do. Just go ahead and do it. And along the same line, if you want something, just go for it. Because the more you think about it, the less likely you are to do it. We can be our own worst enemies sometimes. And so we have to learn to get out of our heads. So get out of your head and stop talking yourself out of your dreams. Just go for it. Trust yourself. Even if you don't know how to do something, decide you're going to do it and then you figure it out along the way. Also, live for today, but plan for tomorrow, right? In case tomorrow does come, you want to have a plan for tomorrow. So yes, you live for today and you plan for tomorrow because you don't want to get caught unprepared for certain situations. So planning is always key. The next thing I want to yes, always trust your gut. That feeling inside that you get, those butterflies in your stomach, your heart racing, all of those things are indicators, they're cues. Trust your gut, trust your instincts, because those things never steer you wrong. In a situation where you may overthink something, what your gut is telling you, what your body is telling you, is a reaction to the energy around you. And that is real. That is the God that's within you. That's your ancestors that are around you, your spirit guides that are talking to you. So learn to listen to that, learn to trust your gut, learn to trust your instincts in every situation, whether it's personal, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, whatever it is. Always trust your instincts, because the minute you go against that, everything ends up for the worst. And if you doubt that, I just want you to think back to a time where that has happened and then think about what your instincts were telling you and why you went against them. And then you can kind of assess what that outcome was. Additionally, don't sacrifice your happiness, peace of mind, or well-being just to make someone else happy. And I say this because for a really long time, I was a people pleaser. And so it was really hard for me to say no to people. It was really hard for me to disappoint anyone. So there were many times when I did things against my own gut, against my feelings, and I suffered in the process of that. And not only did I suffer, there were many times where me trying to please other people was causing discord and uneasiness in my home life with my husband, in my marriage. And because I was so, I guess, invested in pleasing everyone else, I did not care that my husband was being affected by that. And it really took me a long time to break free from that. And I had to, because it was affecting my marriage and my marriage was in jeopardy. And so it came to the point where I had, some of the closest people that I loved that had to start setting boundaries, and I had to start saying no. But the thing with saying no is that the first time you say no is the hardest. It's so, so, so hard to say no the first time. But the more you say no, the easier it gets. And then eventually they come to understand. And I've talked about this in the past about setting boundaries in your life. You have to do that, because if we don't set these boundaries, it's so easy for people to overstep them, to take advantage of them, and then you get pulled in so many different directions. And there's only one of you to go around. So you can't be everywhere and be everything to everyone at the same time. So at the end of the day, make sure that whatever you're doing or doing for others is because you want to do it. It's because it makes you happy. It's because it's giving you a peace of mind, right? So don't ever sacrifice any of those things just to please someone else, because in the end, you're only going to be miserable and sad, and that's not good. This one is probably one of my favorites. Surround yourself with good people. People who will tell you the truth, and people who will tell you what you need to hear and not necessarily what you want to hear. And I've been really, really, really lucky that I have a sister who's super judgmental, but her heart is in the right place. So yes, she is a judgmental bitch. I love her to death. But she has no problem letting you know what she thinks. And she has no problem letting you know when she thinks that you're screwing up your life. And she's done it to me so many times. It's caused probably a lot of arguments between her and I. It's caused times when her and I haven't spoken. But in hindsight, I appreciate her because she has helped me in a lot of ways to kind of get refocused and to focus on things that are more productive for me, that are in my best interest. Because I think if I had to describe my sister and myself, I've always been the more adventurous type, the more daring one. I've kind of been the rule breaker. She's very conservative, and so she adheres to tradition, and she pretty much follows the rules. And so I need, for someone like me, who's kind of accustomed to going against the grain, you need someone like that to kind of reel you back in and say, hey, you're fucking up your life. What are you doing? And that's what she's done for me. And so I appreciate that. And I think that the older I get, I've become more conscious of these types of people and the people who are really going to check me when I need to be checked. So I have a really small handful of people that do that for me. My sister is one, my aunt is another, my best friend, Maria, always, she never has any problem, checking me. One of my good friends too that I've known forever, two actually, Tina, who we've kind of drifted apart a bit, but we're still connected, very much connected. But this girl she's never had a problem telling me off. And I love that about her. And I think that it's one of the things that has helped our friendship stay the way that it is. And then, of course, there's my good friend Zeta, and Samantha, who's not as direct, right? Because she's a sweetheart. But in her own way, she kind of lets you know if you messed up, but she's always supportive. And so I surround myself with really great people, and women who really want to see me succeed. And so that's really important. You want to surround yourself with people who are invested in your growth and in your success, and not people who are secretly plotting your downfall, or people who are secretly hating, right? Because that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes when you're on a path of greatness, on your own path of success, sometimes your success is a reminder to others of where they aren't in their life. And that's a hard place to be for some. So you have to learn to identify who those people are, if you have them in your life, and then try to keep as far away from them as possible. But yeah, so those are the things that I've been reflecting on as I approach my 40th birthday. There's so many I guess, things I can share with you, but for me, those were some of the most important. But I really want to talk now, really quickly. A friend of mine reached out to me earlier last week about purchasing a copy of my book for his wife. He wanted to gift it to her as part of her Mother's Day gift. So he had texted me and he was like, "Hey, I wanted to, buy your book for my wife. Do you think it'll arrive by Saturday? Because he wanted to give it to her on Sunday on Mother's Day." So of course I was like, "Of course I'll make sure that you get it in time." And but one of the things that transpired during the text conversation that him and I were having, he's always been one of my biggest supporters. Even before I wrote this book, I mean, him and I have always been on the same path. So he's very driven. He's very goal oriented. He sees the bigger picture. He's a man that is about living his purpose. And there was plenty of conversations that we've had around that, during our friendship. But anyway, back to this. One of the things that he was telling me was that it's important for the people who know you to support you. And so I actually want to quote what he said, because to me it was very not enlightening, because this is something that I believe, but it just reaffirmed to me that I'm not going crazy, that this is what should happen, but it doesn't always happen. So he texts me, if anyone knows you personally and they don't support anything in which you are doing, you got to reevaluate the relationship. I say that all the time. If you're an author and I'm a reader by default, I should be purchasing your book. It's that simple, regardless of what the avenue may be. Should always support us before them any day. And so that really touched me. One, because he has lived, like, he lives by his words. So whenever I publish a book, he always purchases it. And it's funny because this book, when I mailed it out, I just signed it, and I didn't inscribe it with a personal message, which I usually do. And he made a comment about that, and he was like, "Oh, I feel like just a regular old person." And I didn't inscribe it intentionally because he said he wanted to gift it to his wife. So I assumed that he would want to write something in the book for her. So I didn't want to add anything. So I just signed it with my signature. I'll probably end up sending him another copy though, and I will inscribe something to him and to her because I appreciate their support. But it got me to thinking about all of us who are in this entrepreneurial journey and are really trying to get our work out there, trying to build our brands, and what that means as far as the people that we know supporting us, right? Because in order for anything to get popping, people have to know about it, right? And when you're first starting out, the way people learn about it is by word of mouth. And now, given this, the age that we're in, with all of this technology, the access to information, the access to the internet, and all of these social media platforms, it's so much easier now to share information than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so it got me to thinking about the people who do support me and the ones who pretend support me, because there's pretenders, right? And so they want to be attached to you as long as they think that they can get something out of you, but they're not the ones who are consistently sharing your work. They're not the ones who are promoting your work. They're not the ones who are reposting or quoting or telling others to buy your work, right? But yet these will be the very same people who have no problem reposting Beyonce's, Lemonade, or promoting her concert, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because these are artists that that we love and we respect, and so we are going to celebrate them as well. But what about your friends, right? What about the people you really know, you know what their struggle is, you know how hard they're working, you know what they're putting into their work. So is there an expectation that for the people who know us to go as hard for us as they do for these celebrities who don't give a damn about them, who don't even know that they exist, right? Um, and so for me, I have a handful, well, more than a handful. I have a good group of people who consistently support me, who are my diehard supporters, and I don't say fans because I think that that's super impersonal, and I don't know, I just find it a disrespectful term. I have people who support me, and their support means everything to me. So this is why I'm really cognizant of the relationships that I establish with the people who support me. So people who comment on my stuff, who take the time to comment on my stuff, I make sure I comment back. I make sure I acknowledge them when they purchase my books, when they post my books, when they're sharing my quotes, all of this stuff. The things that I see, I make sure that I address. Now, there may be times where I might miss a post, but 9 times out of 10, anyone who's supporting me, I'm engaging with because that's how important they are to me. I never take it for granted. Um, and so this is something that I challenge you all to think about. If you know people who are out there grinding and working and really trying to do something, how are you supporting them? How are you helping to get their name out there? Right? Because at the end of the day, we all come from the same place. We're all we got, like they say, right? So if we don't support us, who's going to support us? And that is, and there's a two-way street. And I always try to do my part. So when I see fellow artists out there, I support by purchasing the work. I buy books from self-published authors. I buy art, off of Instagram. There's one woman who I absolutely love. I've never met her in person. We connected on social media. She's a mom to 5 kids, beautiful children, but she's super talented. And I have about 3 of her paintings, and they're all in my daughter's room. Her name is Evelise Rosa. Evelise.Rosa, I think, designs, but look her up. She's a phenomenal woman. There's, of course, Ray Calderon, who's one of my absolute favorite female techies. She has the Dreamcatcher app, and it's an app that connects artists and brands with people who are looking for those services. So if you're in need of a makeup artist, a photographer, an actor, a model, you can connect on the Dreamcatcher app and find the type of person that you're looking for and make that connection. There's so many people, there's so many writers. My best friend, BK Writer, I love her. She has a book that she published a couple of years ago. But go ahead, go out and buy it. Brooklyn's Daughter. She's a phenomenal poet. She's been published on the Huffington Post. She writes these culture-centered blogs, beautiful pieces of work. There's BLCNY, Coach Stephanie, Life Architect. I absolutely love her. If you really need to get your life in order, she is the one that will help you do it. And I love her because she's so damn authentic. There's nothing fake about her. And you can tell as soon as she opens her mouth, she's so genuine. And I love that. So please connect with her. But this is how we support each other. We talk about what we're doing. We big each other up. And so that also brings me to think about, how about people that are doing sucky work, right? And just because we know them, should we promote them if we feel that their work is not up to par? I think that's a personal decision, right? I mean, I think that there's a way to expose them or to get people to know about them and then make their own determinations, right? Because we may not like something, but it may resonate with someone else, right? So I still try to support those as well. I may not rock with them, but you know what? There's someone who might connect. And just off of that, I'm like, yeah, there's this person, so and so is doing this. But you always have to stay true to yourself. So if you don't believe in someone's product or in someone's art, don't endorse it. Don't tell people, yeah, go ahead and buy it because I love it when you don't love it. But there's nothing wrong with informing people and showing them that there's someone else out here doing this, and then let them make the decisions for themselves. So I'm always gonna go towards the way of supporting each other, supporting the independent entrepreneur, artist, writer that's trying to make a name for themselves. And I always say this, for those who support me, I see you. I try to acknowledge you every chance I get. Please know that I absolutely appreciate, love, adore you. And the farther I get and, the more successful I become, the more opportunities I can provide to those that are coming behind me. If I break through that door, I'm bringing as many of you guys with me as I possibly can, because that's my commitment. It's what it's what I believe. I believe that we have to put each other on, because we can't wait for someone to do it for us. You put yourself on first by the work that you do, by your work ethic, by how you treat people, and then you help others along the way. So this is pretty much it for this show. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I really just wanted to share with you some of the things that I've been doing these past couple of weeks. I wanted to share some of the things I've learned in my last 40 years of life, and I will continue to share my experiences with you, my opinions, and just stay locked to the Empowerment Hour podcast. This podcast is for you guys. Thank you for giving me this platform to come on here to listen to me, for reading my books, just for the support you give me. Thanks, and go out there and crush some goals. Till next time, my loves, I will be in Mexico, and I will tell you all about it when I get back.